Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers around the world. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Well, today is such a wonderful day for me. I've been contemplative. I've been working with my amazing colleague who is in front of you here today, but thinking about what's happening coming up really soon here in the new year. And we are going to have a celebration day of learning with Dr. Rajinder Gulati, who is here with me today. And we're going to be chatting with him in just a moment. But I do want to tell you, we've got a couple of presentations coming up and the date so that you can find it on your calendar. And of course, you can head over to the website. So head over to goldlearning.com right now. You can just pause this video, check out the presentations that are coming up. But we do have a Gold Learning Day coming up. We've got three fabulous presentations coming up, along with Dr. Rajinder. We've got Nikki Lee and Catherine Stagg. And we're going to be talking about all the things really in that newborn sort of period, such an important time for families. But Nikki Lee is going to be talking about when to sit on your hands, knowing when not to intervene in early breastfeeding. That's always a hard one. And then we've got Catherine Stagg talking about counseling when there is not much lactation in their lactation consultations. So I know many of you have showed up to families and, there's not much breastfeeding going on. And so how do you help those families move forward? But today we're going to be talking to Dr. Rajinder, talking about bridging the gap. This is a big one, and a big one for me, and I think everyone around the world. So bridging the gap, empowering first hour breastfeeding for every newborn. So welcome to you, Dr. Rajinder. It's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah, I'm excited. You're so well versed in this area. And as professionals, you and I have been around for a little while. We won't mention how long, but you and I have been working in this field for quite some time. And this is probably an area that, you over and over again think about in terms of improving or, getting the word out, teaching, educating, not only families, but professionals. So I know that we're going to be taking a bit of a dive into that. But I do have some questions for you today about the topic. But before we get into it, perhaps, do a little intro of yourself. Let people know where you are in the world and what does your job actually entail right now? What are you doing these days?
Yeah. Actually, I am presently in India. And if you ask me exactly where I am in India, I'm in the northern part of India, in Punjab state. I belong to one of the, you must say, Manchester of Punjab. It's called by the name of Ludhiana. It's
Hmm.
famous for its textiles.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
actually, I've worked for over 4 decades in this profession. And you can say for more than 2 decades, I've been into this breastfeeding promotion. I actually retired from government job as a pediatrician, and then I am again working with National Health Mission as a consultant pediatrician. So that's how about what I'm doing now.
Amazing career. Amazing. And just you're sort of on now you're what in your second, third career. It seems like you did a whole part and now you're moved into this area, which is amazing. And I know for folks who, if you're listening today, you can definitely go onto our website and see sort of a detailed journey of what Dr. Rajinder has been doing over his expansive career. All right, let's get into some of these things that I really wanted to talk about today. And that was really, talking about your work. You've worked across many different areas, large hospitals. You mentioned, your national programs, rural clinics, but can you tell me when you think about that first hour after birth? Oh, so precious. Put yourself right there. Everyone listening in, you know and you sense that and you feel that. But can you tell me what do you most often see getting in the way of breastfeeding actually happening when it should? What's the one thing that kind of jumps out to you?
Uh, Time and again, I must say, the moment we think about the first hour, I think so. It doesn't happen there and then in the labor room. It happens quite early. You can say in the antenatal period, the first contact with the pregnant mother when you come across that, you happen to teach her what is going to happen in the labor room. Only then you can do much better. If you say that going into the labor room and initiating breastfeeding, no, You are not going to succeed. Neither will the
Mm,
mother accept that. So the one thing which I have noted or which I have come across is that antenatally you need to prepare the mothers, and that should be the goal or the motto that we
wow.
are going to initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour. Rest or will follow.
Amazing. And so interesting when I'm thinking about asking you this question, I have expectations of you. I'm thinking, well, he's going to say that there's people in the room or the birth didn't go well or whatever it is, but the barrier really is education for the parent, for the mother. That's the barrier. She's not well informed, perhaps, in her experience. So we have expectations as practitioners to say, okay, this is it. Get the baby on the breast. It's time, and she's almost in shock. What is happening? How do I do this? I see it over and over again that all of a sudden again, this exposure of a woman's breasts, right after giving birth, and they're looking down at the baby, and her breasts, maybe she's never even touched her breasts before or managed them in that way, and we have this expectation that we're just put them together. I think it's shocking for a lot of people. It feels uncomfortable, and she doesn't know the process. She hasn't been tuned in to what her body is doing and what her baby is doing. So wow, that gave me goosebumps just when you said that, because I just find it, so practical and sensible in terms of what we're doing. But I want to come back to that. I'm going to ask you more about that in a minute. But I want to ask you another question. This is something that you'll find right the way along when you listen to Dr. Raginder's presentation at this Gold Learning session. You're going to hear him talk about all of these things, but I want you to talk about cesarean birth now, because this is something that is on the rise. We've seen this happening around the world again and again, and is it a barrier? Is it in fact a barrier to early initiation? And so, from your experience, what is making a difference in helping families who end up in a cesarean birth of sorts? What is it that we can support families in that moment? When they have a cesarean? What can we do?
Yeah, a very, very, very interesting question because, as you say, it is a barrier. No doubt, it is a barrier for me. If you look at my perspective, cesarean deliveries, after cesarean, mothers can definitely breastfeed. The only thing is that she need to have a skilled support there.
Right.
So in that way, it is not a barrier. Now, another interesting thing is the thing which you have already said, that the rate of cesarean is increasing,
Mm-hmm.
and it is increasing drastically to the extent that we have seen the children, those who are um, uh, delivering by vaginal delivery,
Mm-hmm.
they are able to breastfeed better than the cesarean delivery. Almost
Right.
double the number of the cesarean delivery they are able to initiate. So definitely there is something wrong with the cesarean delivery. Either we are not prepared for it, or we don't have a you can say a trained personnel or a
Sure.
lactational counselor who are trained for it. And last but not the least, I must also say the the person who is operating the case, he or she should be tuned to it, because until and unless he or she says so, even the trained person, is it is not possible for him or her to breastfeed in the operation theater,
Mm-hmm.
because the consent of that person is very, very important, because she or he has already draped the lady for the cesarean, and she wants silence and everything. But she should be tuned to it, she should be prepared for it, she should be educated, and she should be taught what actually is required to be done, because it is in the benefit or the interest of the mother as well as the child.
Yeah.
So obstetrician are very, very important persons for us. Besides lactation consultant, besides pediatrician, obstetricians are very important as far as cesareans are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the first line, the first, excuse me, the first contact with the infant, and they're orchestrating, this very important surgery at, sometimes necessary, as we know. But we also see that, where it is increasing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when we were working on your presentation, you actually said something that in that slide where you were talking about cesarean birth, you actually said you need to have a skilled worker at the bedside. And you said another item, but the one thing that stood out to me is that you said there needs to be somebody who is sensitive there in that space.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
so I thought that, just thinking about that, I don't think I've ever seen, anyone write about this sensitive or sensitivity that is needed, in that moment. So tell me again a little bit about why you use that language in your communication of your presentation. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Sensitive, actually, what I meant by it was the person who is helping the mother.
Mm-hmm.
Until and unless that person is not sensitive in a sense that she doesn't know what she is doing and how it is going to benefit the
Mm-hmm.
newborn and the mother, she'll not be able to do her job. So
Right.
she needs to be sensitized about the things she is doing. Until and
Mm-hmm.
unless she is well aware of these things, she'll not be
Yeah.
able to perform. And
Yeah.
that is the reason I always tell them the person helping the mother should be trained, should be empathetic and
Yeah.
sensitive. So that's very, very important, more important so for cesarean sections.
Yeah, I love the idea of not just the practical, so not just being educated, not just being skilled, but also being a sensitive, worker in that environment to understand and look at the nuance because we know that there's a lot of fear we see in mothers. Cesarean birth is, there are risks involved, and so it can be very overwhelming. For all, we have the partner, the father is there as well, and they can be also it can be just, a lot of distress in the room. So I think having that sensitivity could really definitely change the trajectory of what we see. Well, before we wrap up today, I want to ask you just one question, and I'm going to put you in the hot seat now because there's probably so many things that you could answer to this question. But this is about when you're speaking directly to a busy nurse, a doctor, a midwife, an obstetrician. If they were listening to you right now, what is it that you would want to say to them, or you could say, this is the small change that you could make because you know how busy everybody is and they're like, oh, we can't do this right now. But what is something small you think you could pass along to these amazing folks that, are in charge of our families in that moment? What could you say to them, Rajinder?
Yeah. Again, it's very interesting, and I really love to answer this question. Uh, uh, because see, when a newborn comes to this world, it is our not only our duty, but we as a parent should know what actually is required to be done.
Mm,
That newborn can be fed on formula, can be given
hmm.
anything, can be given
Sure.
honey, can be given anything. So until and unless we act in a way we should or the child should feed, only then we can perform better. So my take home message for all these personnels, yeah, rather you can say healthcare personnel, maybe obstetrician, pediatrician, or anybody, we want optimal mental and physical growth of the newborn,
Mm,
and this is the aim with which we go. And until and unless we start initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour and continue it exclusively for 6 months, we are not going to, I can say, you are not going to improve your community, your country, globally. So, if we want better human beings, we need to do all these things. This is what
mm.
I tell
I love your heart. You don't go small, you go big. And I think that
them.
that is just your heart. It's a global improvement that you're looking
Yeah.
at, and you're looking at not just in this moment, it is long-term investment. And I think more and more, we are hearing people talk about the investment of long-term health. And if you want long-term health in humanity, because this is what it is, this is the human race, that changes every time an infant goes to the breast and receives that human milk. we are changing those outcomes long term. And so that is such a beautiful thing. Well, thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for allowing me to put you in the hot seat today and answering my questions. But it is always my pleasure to chat with you. I will look forward to seeing you, of course, on January 20th. Now, it is the 20th for most people around the world, but please go to our website. Of course, it will make sure that you have the correct time wherever you are in the world. Some of you it will be a little bit later or the next day. And you can check it out right now, Dr. Rajinder's presentation, all the details, of course. But we would love to see you there live. It's going to be a great way to kick off this year for Gold Learning, and then, of course, for all of us around the world that are so dedicated in this field. Head over there now to goldlearning.com, and we will see you all very soon online. Thank you so much once again, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.